afternoon. A bit of a somber pastor's report for you today. Of course, we are all still grieving and sad from the news yesterday that we are not going to hold our pumpkin patch, our very well-known, famous even pumpkin patch, come October. I am very grateful for the leadership team that made this very hard but well prayed for decision. I doubt that any of them, when they were asked to be on the leadership team for the pumpkin patch for 2020 by Kristen, thought that they would be having to make a decision whether to even have it or not. But I am again grateful for their faithfulness, and I know that there was a lot of deliberate, intentional thought and prayer put into that decision, ultimately made over love of neighbor, represented by our love for each other as Central Christian Church and the members and friends of Central, and our love for Waco, for our community. But even this morning, as I was taking Joshua and Kaylin to school, my heart was still heavy thinking about this. A song came on the radio, and it reminded me of Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love God. That's a paraphrase, but certainly a scripture that gives me a lot of hope and inspiration. And things are coming together because we're in the book of Daniel this week for Year of the Bible, and the song that came on the radio that reminded me of that was a song called Another in the Fire by Hillsong United. Of course, that's a reference to Daniel 3, when Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, great names, right, were thrown into the fiery furnace, but protected by God. There are a couple of lines in this song. There's a grace when the heart is under fire, another way when the walls are closing in, and when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. Doesn't 2020 feel a little bit like a reckoning? But be reminded that even in 2020 you are not alone. And then another line, and I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between wears thin. There is another scene in Daniel where Daniel sees what he describes as the Ancient of Days. It's a vision similar to what Isaiah had that we talked about a couple weeks ago. What you find in the book of Revelation, it's a vision where the space between heaven and earth wears thin. I think of being at the communion table every Sunday morning. I think of many days spent at church camp. Those are times for me where the space between wears thin. And even in this reckoning of a year, even in this light of one of the saddest decisions we've had to make because of this year, because of the pandemic, be reminded, church, that there is still grace, there is still hope, and that the darkness bows to him. My prayer for you is that the space between heaven and earth wears thin, and that you experience God's presence. Praying for you, church, and we will be together again this Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. for online worship.